My name is Sarah Thompson. I am 36 years old and I live in a small town in Colorado. I work as a freelance graphic designer. I love my job because it gives me time to be creative. I also enjoy being my own boss. I have a sister named Lisa. She is 2 years younger than me. We are very close. Growing up, we shared everything. We played dress up and made up stories about princesses. We supported each other through good times and bad. When I was sad, Lisa always knew how to make me smile. When she had a tough day, I was there to listen. Recently, Lisa got engaged. She is marrying a man named Ryan. I am happy for her. They seem to be in love. Lisa has been busy planning her wedding. I can see her excitement. She talks about the flowers, the cake, and the dress. I love hearing her ideas. I feel proud to be her sister. Last week, I received the wedding invitation in the mail. It was beautiful. The colors were soft and warm. I opened it carefully, feeling a mix of joy and anxiety. I was excited to celebrate her big day. But then I thought about the costs. Weddings can be expensive. I wanted to help Lisa, but I had to think about my own budget too. I started to plan my finances. I wanted to make sure I could buy a nice dress and maybe even help with other costs. I had saved a little, but I needed to be careful. I didn't want to let my sister down. I wanted to be there for her, just like we had always been there for each other. That evening, I received a text from Lisa. She wanted to meet for coffee to discuss wedding details. I felt a flutter of excitement. I thought we would talk about the fun parts of the wedding. Maybe she would ask for my help with planning. I smiled as I read her message. But a small voice in my head said there might be something important she wanted to discuss. The next day, I arrived at the coffee shop early. I ordered a latte and waited for Lisa. I felt happy and nervous at the same time. I wanted to know everything about the wedding. I wanted to be a part of it. When Lisa walked in, I noticed she looked tense. Her smile was forced. I felt a wave of worry wash over me. We sat at a small table and I tried to lighten the mood. I asked her about her dress and the flowers. She answered but seemed distracted. I could feel something was off. After a few minutes, Lisa took a deep breath. She looked at me and said she needed to tell me something important. My heart raced. I thought maybe she was going to share some exciting news about the wedding plans. Instead, she told me that Ryan's parents wanted a smaller wedding. She had decided to uninvite me to keep the guest count down. I felt as if the ground had fallen away beneath me. I stared at her, trying to process her words. I felt blindsided and hurt. It was as if she had pulled a rug right out from under me. Lisa tried to explain. She said it was just a family decision. She said it was traditional. But I felt like a disposable part of the plan. I felt betrayed. I remembered our childhood, how we were always there for each other. It seemed strange that now, when it mattered most, she was pushing me away. I wanted to scream, to cry, to ask her why. Instead, I sat there in silence. I felt my heart sink. I thought about all the times I had been there for her. I thought about the sacrifices I had made to support her. I felt angry, confused, and sad all at once. As I left the coffee shop, I felt a knot in my stomach. I replayed Lisa's words over and over in my mind. I wanted to confront her, to tell her how much she had hurt me. But I also felt a growing sense of unease. I walked to my car, feeling lost. I wanted to be strong for her, but I also wanted to protect myself. I didn't understand how we had come to this point. I was scared of what it meant for our relationship. I thought about the wedding and what it would be like without me there. In the days that followed, I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. I kept thinking about Lisa and her decision. I wanted to talk to her, but I didn't know how. I felt like I was losing my sister. I felt alone. But I also knew I needed to stand up for myself. I had always been there for Lisa. Maybe it was time for her to understand my worth. I took a deep breath and made a decision. I would not let her choice define me. I would find a way to show up, even if I was uninvited. As I planned my next steps, I felt a flicker of determination. I was ready to face whatever came next. I could not stop thinking about Lisa's decision. The more I reflected on it, the more hurt I felt. I wanted to confront her, but I was also scared. I didn't want to lose our bond, but I felt pushed aside. A few days later, Lisa texted me again. She wanted to meet for coffee once more. My heart raced. I wondered if she had changed her mind. Maybe she wanted to talk about what happened. I agreed to meet her, hoping for a chance to express my feelings. When I arrived at the coffee shop, I noticed Lisa was already there. She sat at our usual table, her fingers nervously tapping on her phone. I could see the tension in her face. I felt a mix of hope and dread. I ordered my drink and sat down. "Hey, Lisa," I said, trying to sound upbeat. "Hi, Sarah," she replied, but her voice lacked energy. I knew this was not going to be an easy conversation. I took a deep breath and decided to speak up. I told her how hurt I was about being uninvited. I explained how it felt like I was no longer important in her life. I had always been there for her, and it felt wrong to be pushed aside now. Lisa listened, but her expression was conflicted. She tried to explain again. She said it was not just her decision, it was about pleasing Ryan's family. She said they wanted their wedding to be small and intimate. I felt a wave of frustration. I didn't understand why my presence didn't matter to her. As we talked, memories of our childhood flooded my mind. We had always been a team. Lisa had always sought approval from others, but this was different. It felt like she was choosing others over me. I tried to reason with her. I told her that family should come first. I reminded her of all the times we supported each other. But she seemed distant. I could see she was torn between what she wanted and what others expected of her. The conversation grew tense. I felt anger rising inside me. I wanted to shout to make her understand. But instead, I just sat there, feeling my heart sink deeper. I wanted to be the sister she needed, but I also wanted her to see how much this hurt me. Finally, I stood up to leave. I felt defeated. As I walked to the door, I replayed her words in my mind. I felt like I was losing her. I wanted to scream, but instead, I walked out in silence. Outside, the air felt heavy. I sat in my car and tried to collect my thoughts. I felt like I had lost a part of myself. I wanted to confront Lisa again, but I didn't know how. The hurt was too fresh. Days passed and I tried to focus on my work. I kept busy, but my mind was still on the conversation. I felt a storm of emotions inside me. I was angry, sad, and confused. I couldn't shake the feeling of abandonment. One evening, I received a message from an old friend. She mentioned that she had seen Lisa and Ryan together recently. She shared some whispers about Ryan's family. I felt a sense of curiosity and concern. I decided to dig deeper. I reached out to mutual friends and started to ask questions. What I learned shocked me. There were stories about Ryan that Lisa didn't know. Rumors of hidden debts and family issues. I felt a knot form in my stomach. This could explain Lisa's decision. Maybe she was trying to protect herself from something she didn't fully understand. I struggled with the information. Should I tell Lisa what I had learned? What if it caused more distance between us? But I couldn't ignore it. If there was something wrong, she needed to know. As the wedding day approached, I felt a mix of determination and anxiety. I knew I had to see Lisa again. I needed to confront her about Ryan and his family. I wanted to protect her, even if it meant stepping into a difficult conversation. That night, I lay awake, thinking about everything. I felt the weight of the situation on my shoulders. I wanted to be brave for my sister. I wanted to fight for our bond. I had to find a way to expose the truth without pushing her away even further. The next morning, I woke up with a renewed sense of purpose. I would talk to Lisa before the wedding. I would make her see the truth. I had to believe that our bond was strong enough to handle it. I would do anything to protect her, even if it meant standing up against her choices. I picked up my phone and texted Lisa. I asked her to meet me again. I knew it was time for another conversation. It was time to face the truth together. I felt a mix of nerves and determination as I waited for Lisa to arrive. I knew our meeting was crucial. I had to address what I had learned about Ryan and his family. I wanted to protect Lisa, but I also feared how she would react. When Lisa walked into the cafe, she looked surprised to see me. I waved her over and tried to smile, but my heart raced. She sat down and I could see the tension in her shoulders. "Hey, Sarah," she said, her voice a bit uncertain. "Hi, Lisa. I'm glad you came," I replied, trying to keep my tone calm. We ordered our drinks, but I could tell Lisa was anxious. I wanted to ease her worries, but I couldn't delay what I needed to say. "Lisa, I've been thinking a lot since our last talk," I began. "I want to talk about Ryan and his family." She frowned. "What about them?" I took a deep breath and chose my words carefully. "I've heard some things from friends. They said Ryan has some issues with his family. They mentioned debts and problems that could affect you. I think you should know." Lisa's expression changed. She looked angry and hurt. "Why are you bringing this up? You're just trying to ruin my happiness." I felt my heart sink. "No, Lisa. I'm trying to protect you. I care about you. If there's something wrong, you need to know before the wedding." She crossed her arms. "I don't want to hear this. Ryan loves me, and that's what matters." I could see she was upset, but I pressed on. But what if love isn't enough? What if you're getting into something that could hurt you later? Her eyes narrowed and I could feel the distance growing between us. You're overreacting. You don't know him like I do. I felt frustrated and sad. I don't want to fight, but I can't just sit back and watch you walk into a situation that could end badly. We have always been honest with each other. Lisa looked away, her expression shifting. She seemed torn between her feelings for Ryan and the fear of hearing the truth. I could see a battle within her. Sarah, it's my life. I want to make my own choices, she said quietly. I understand that, but I'm still your sister. I love you and want what's best for you, I replied, trying to soften my tone. She sighed and ran her fingers through her hair. I just want this wedding to be perfect. I don't want to think about anything else right now. I could see how stressed she was. I wanted to comfort her, but I also needed her to understand. I get it, but ignoring the truth won't make it go away. I'm here for you, but you need to face this. For a moment, we sat in silence. I could see her mind racing. I hoped she would start to see the bigger picture. Then she looked at me, her eyes filled with uncertainty. What do you think I should do? I felt a glimmer of hope. I think you should talk to Ryan. Ask him about his past. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You deserve to know the truth. Lisa nodded slowly, but I could tell she was still hesitant. I don't want to believe anything bad about him. I understand, but sometimes the truth hurts. Better to face it now than later, I said gently. As we talked, I felt a shift in the air. It was as if the weight of the conversation was starting to lift. I could see Lisa thinking, processing what I was saying. Finally, she sighed. Okay, I'll talk to him. But I don't want to ruin everything. You won't ruin anything by seeking the truth. You're being strong by wanting to know, I reassured her. Lisa smiled faintly, but I could see the worry still lingered in her eyes. Thanks for telling me, Sarah. I know this was hard for you. I just want you to be happy and safe, I replied, feeling a sense of relief. As we finished our drinks, I felt a new bond forming between us. I knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but at least we were on the same page. I wanted to support her, no matter the outcome. After we left the cafe, I felt lighter. I had spoken my truth and Lisa had listened. I hoped she would find the courage to face Ryan and ask the tough questions. In the days that followed, I waited for updates from Lisa. I hoped she would talk to Ryan and discover what was really happening. I wanted her to be aware and make the best choice for her future. But as the wedding day approached, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease. I knew that whatever happened next would change everything. I just hoped that Lisa would have the strength to confront the truth, no matter what it was. The day of the wedding arrived, and I felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. I had decided to attend, even though Lisa had uninvited me. I wanted to be there for her, no matter what happened. I knew I had to support her, especially with everything that had been going on. I dressed carefully in a simple but elegant dress. I wanted to look my best, but I also wanted to feel comfortable. As I looked in the mirror, I felt a mix of hope and dread. I was determined to uncover the truth about Ryan and protect my sister. When I arrived at the venue, I was struck by how beautiful everything was. The decorations were lovely, and the atmosphere buzzed with excitement. I could see guests arriving, laughing and chatting. I felt a pang of sadness knowing I was not supposed to be there. I took a deep breath and walked toward the entrance. I hoped to slip in unnoticed. As I moved through the crowd, I scanned the room for Lisa. I wanted to find her before the ceremony started. I needed to check on her and see how she was feeling. Finally, I spotted her. She was standing with Ryan, looking radiant in her wedding dress. My heart swelled with pride, but I also felt a knot of anxiety in my stomach. I noticed Ryan's parents nearby, and they seemed tense. I wondered if Lisa had talked to Ryan about what I had shared. Just then, I noticed a small group of guests whispering. I felt uneasy but didn't want to jump to conclusions. I approached them, trying to catch snippets of their conversation. I heard mentions of Ryan's family and their past. My heart raced. I needed to find out more. As the ceremony began, I found a spot to stand at the back. I watched as Lisa walked down the aisle, her eyes shining with joy. I wanted to be happy for her, but my mind kept racing with doubts. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. During the ceremony, I observed Ryan closely. He seemed charming, but there was an edge to him. I noticed how he interacted with his parents. There was a subtle tension that made me uneasy. My instincts told me to pay attention. As the ceremony wrapped up, I knew I had to speak to Lisa. I couldn't let her go through with the wedding without knowing the truth. I made my way to the reception area, hoping to find her alone. After the ceremony, guests mingled and celebrated. I spotted Lisa chatting with some friends. She looked happy, but I noticed a flicker of worry in her eyes. I approached her cautiously, trying to gauge her mood. "Hey Lisa, can we talk?" I asked, keeping my voice low. She looked surprised but nodded. "Sure, let's step outside for a moment." We moved to a quieter area and I could see the concern on her face. "What's wrong?" she asked. "Have you talked to Ryan about what we discussed?" I asked, my heart pounding. Lisa hesitated for a moment. "I haven't yet. I wanted to wait until after the wedding." I felt a rush of frustration. "But what if you're making a mistake? You need to know if there's something in his past that could affect your future." "I know, but I don't want to ruin today," she replied, her voice shaky. I took a deep breath. "Today is important, but your happiness matters more. Please talk to him. You deserve the truth." Before she could respond, I noticed Ryan approaching. I felt a wave of anxiety wash over me. I had to be careful. He smiled as he reached us, but I could see the tension in his eyes. "Hey Lisa. Ready to celebrate?" he asked, wrapping an arm around her. I quickly decided to take action. "Ryan, can I have a word with you?" I said, surprising even myself. He looked at me, taken aback. Sure." We stepped away from Lisa, and I could feel the heat rising in my chest. "I need to know if you've been honest with Lisa about your past," I said, my voice steady. He raised an eyebrow, surprised. "What do you mean?" "I've heard things about your family and your debts. I think Lisa deserves to know the truth before she commits to you," I stated firmly. Ryan's expression changed. He looked defensive. "That's not your business. Lisa and I love each other, and that's all that matters." I could feel my heart racing. Love is important, but it's not everything. If you care about her, you'll tell her the truth. Just then, I saw Lisa watching us from a distance. The worry etched on her face made my heart ache. I needed to protect her, no matter the cost. Ryan glanced at her and then back at me. "You're crossing a line," he said, his voice low. "That's true, but I'm doing it for her," I replied, feeling a sense of determination. Before he could respond, Lisa walked over, her eyes narrowing. "What's going on?" I turned to her, hoping to convey my concern without causing a scene. "I just wanted to make sure Ryan is being honest with you." "About what?" she asked, looking between us. I hesitated, knowing this was a critical moment. I had to find the right words. "I want you to ask him about his past. You need to know everything before saying I do." Lisa's eyes widened and I could see the tension in her posture. This was the moment of truth. I hoped she would have the courage to confront Ryan and uncover whatever was hidden. The atmosphere was thick with uncertainty. I held my breath, praying Lisa would find the strength to face whatever lay ahead. The tension in the air was palpable as Lisa stood between Ryan and me. I could see the conflict in her eyes and I felt my heart race. I knew this was the moment that could change everything. "Lisa, please," I urged softly. "You deserve to know the truth about Ryan. Don't you want to ask him?" She looked at me, then at Ryan. "Is there something I need to know?" she asked, her voice steady but filled with uncertainty. Ryan shifted uncomfortably. "There's nothing to worry about, Lisa. Sarah is just trying to create drama." But Lisa didn't back down. "I need to know, Ryan. If you have something to hide, I want to hear it now." Ryan's expression changed, frustration flashing across his face. "You know how families can be. My parents have issues, but that doesn't matter. We love each other, right?" I could see Lisa hesitating, caught between her feelings and the truth. "But is there something you're not telling me?" she pressed. He sighed, clearly annoyed. "I don't want to ruin our day with this. Can we talk about it later?" "No, we need to talk about it now," Lisa insisted. I felt a wave of pride for her. She was finding her voice. "Lisa, you're making a mistake," Ryan said, his tone shifting to anger. "Am I?" she shot back. "Or am I just trying to protect myself?" The tension hung thick in the air. I could feel the eyes of other guests on us, but I didn't care. This was too important. "Ryan, if you truly care about her, you'll be honest," I said firmly. "You can't build a future on lies." He looked at me, then back at Lisa. "Fine. I have some debts. My family has been through a lot. But that shouldn't change how we feel." Lisa's eyes widened. "Debts? Why didn't you tell me?" "I didn't want you to worry. I thought we could figure things out together," he said, trying to regain control of the conversation. "But you should have told me from the start," she exclaimed. "I can't just ignore this." Ryan's expression shifted from anger to desperation. "I love you, Lisa. Can't we just move past this?" Lisa shook her head, tears forming in her eyes. "Love isn't enough if there are secrets. I can't marry someone I can't trust. My heart soared at her words. She was standing up for herself, finally recognizing her worth. Maybe it's better if we take a break, Lisa said, her voice trembling. I need to think about what this means for us. Ryan looked stunned, his face pale. You can't be serious. We're getting married today. Not if I don't feel right about it, Lisa replied firmly. As I watched her, I felt a mix of relief and sadness. I knew this was a hard decision for her, but I also knew it was the right one. Just then Lisa turned to me, her eyes filled with gratitude. Thank you for pushing me to ask. I can't believe I almost went through with this. I stepped forward and hugged her tightly. You did the brave thing. You deserve someone who will be honest with you. Ryan stood there, looking lost and defeated. You'll regret this, Lisa, he said quietly. I won't, she replied, her voice steady. I need to focus on my own happiness. With that, Lisa walked away from him, and I felt a wave of relief wash over me. I knew this was a turning point in her life. As we stepped outside, I could see that the sun was shining. Felt like a new beginning. What now? I asked, glancing at her. I need time to think, she said softly. But I feel lighter now. I know I made the right choice. I smiled at her, feeling proud of the strength she had shown. You did. You stood up for yourself, and that's what matters. In the days that followed, Lisa took time to reflect on everything. She distanced herself from Ryan and focused on her own well-being. I was there to support her every step of the way. As we spent more time together, I could see the spark returning to her eyes. She was starting to rediscover herself. We talked about our childhood dreams, our hopes for the future, and how we could support each other moving forward. One evening, as we sat on the porch, Lisa looked at me and smiled. Thank you for being there for me. I squeezed her hand. Always. I'll always have your back. We talked about setting boundaries in our lives and how important it was to prioritize ourselves. Lisa realized that love didn't mean My name is Sarah Thompson. I am 36 years old and I live in a small town in Colorado. I work as a freelance graphic designer. I love my job because it gives me time to be creative. I also enjoy being my own boss. I have a sister named Lisa. She is 2 years younger than me. We are very close. Growing up, we shared everything. We played dress up and made up stories about princesses. We supported